Hello, I'm Jesse Elaine, and we're going to talk a little bit about some chord melody playing. So the tune you just heard is by the late great Duke Ellington, one of the most prolific jazz composers that we have had in the past 100 years. So that particular section you heard was just the A section, but I wanted to go over with you what I was doing. So the best way to do this, before you even start listening to what I have to say, is to get out the lead sheet. That was in the key of A flat. You can find that in the real book. Should be in any of them. It's called Mood Indigo. Blue Mood, you know, Mood Indigo. So it's a relatively slow tune. It's good for chord melody. It's in a good key for learning some different chord voicings, because there's really not a lot of open strings, or actually any open strings, in the key of A flat we're using here. So first thing I did was I started with this vamp. So in a lot of jazz tunes you're going to hear a repeated maybe 2-measure or 4-measure figure. That's very simple. This particular one, I am using an A flat major 7th voicing. So this is on the 4th string group, A flat, E, G, C. That's the voicing I'm using on top, but I'm using different fingering because I want to reach this bass note down here on the 6th string 4th fret. So I'm going to move a little closer so you can really see my fingers. So 2nd finger, and then 4th finger, barring there. And then skipping the 5th string, muting it with the back part of the 1st finger, and then playing. So you're getting just this octave here, and then you get the chord tones. And what I did is I'd come in from below, from the leading tone, and then I'd let go of the chord on top, come up into it, and then this becomes an A natural, G, D, F sharp, B. So what you end up there with is basically sounding like a suspended dominant 7th chord. There's no 3rd in it. That's what it would sound like if it had the 3rd. We're not using the 3rd. What you really have is you really just have this inward motion. So you get that. You're moving inward with the bass and with the chord tones. So out and then in. And then I did something like this, this is just minor 7th chords starting from the 3 chord, which is a C minor 7. So I go to C, B flat, E flat, again skipping that 5th string. So that goes 3, then you get that flat 3 passing chord in there, chromatic. And you could do the E flat bass if you wanted to really give it that dominant sound. So you get that big chord again, because that's the first melody note. That top melody. You really want to emphasize the melody when you're playing chord melody. I mean, I can't tell you that enough. It's one of the most important things. So, and then we're going, using that pinky to go from that B natural back to the C. So it's written as a B flat 7th, but I'm using a B flat 13th. So using the thumb for that bass note B flat, we get the A flat on the 4th string, the D on the 3rd string, the G on the 2nd string, and of course the melody note C on the 1st string. So again, hitting that melody note, then adding in those bass and chord tones. Then we're going to go up to a B flat minor 7th. This is just a standard B flat on the 4th string, F, A flat, D flat, but we're not using the D flat, although we're barring it like we would. We're actually using that pinky to get that E flat melody note. Then here's an interesting shape. It's got a little bit of a crunched bite to it because you got a natural 5th and you got a sharp 5th in there, because that's the chord. It's actually written as an E flat augmented 7th chord. So that's just a chromatic lower neighbor tone, really. And you get that again. Or you can just stick this. And that part comes again. part here. So this is just an E9 chord, another chromatic chord, and then we got a B minor 7th very quickly, and I'm using this 5-string shape here: B, F sharp, A, D, A. So here's the, and then we go back to that E flat, I'm sorry, E dominant 7th chord. So here we go. This is the E flat. Then we got an F, F sharp, G. So that whole part. I might do a little quicker like that. Then we get this cool A flat dominant 7th thing where we're kind of tonicizing the 4 chord. So we got, playing with the thumb because we're going to start changing things up here. We got an A flat, G flat, C, and then there's actually no melody note on that measure, but this is, and I was using a first inversion A flat dominant chord, C, G flat, A flat, E flat, and barring to that A flat. So these chords are written as A flat diminished and then G diminished. I'm not using those bass notes because it's a little heavy of a sound. I don't really need it that much in that particular measure, I don't think. So, but actually they are true dominant 7th, diminished 7th chords, because if you look at it, you'd have an A flat, a B, a D, and an F. So I'm using an F there for that A flat diminished 7th chord. And then for the G, of course you can use an E because you get G, B flat, D flat, F flat, which is actually E natural. And those are melody notes. Then we get this nice big A flat dominant 7th chord that the melody note is on the G flat. Then we go for those high notes. This melody jumps around a lot. Another good reason to use it as a chord melody study. So you're going to go from this A flat dominant 7th chord to an A flat 9. And then we get a D flat 7 chord. And I'm going to invert it. Same chord we used before. That's not written. None of those inversions are written. I'm adding these in. And then G flat dominant 7th. And then you got an E9 with a flat 5 in it. It's kind of an interesting sound. So that's the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's that E flat 7 sharp 5 or E flat 7 augmented chord with that B and the B flat in there. And then we go back to that beginning part. Back to our vamp. And then I end on an A flat, kind of playing those major 7th notes, actually really just emphasizing the major triad, A flat, C, E flat, A flat, and then I got this. So what I'm doing here is coming down, so C minor 7, B minor 7, A minor 7, then getting into the 2 chord with a 9th in there, so that's a B flat minor 9. Then I've got an E flat with a suspended, it's like a 5 chord, E flat, A flat, D flat, F. So basically it's a 7 sus 4 chord with a 9 in there, or 9 sus 4. And then I also have a 13th in there because I'm actually carrying it over. So something like that, a 13th. If you want to really get really crazy with it, you can add a flat 9th in there with the 13th. You can get as crazy as you want with those ending chords. But so that's just in a nutshell something that I might do on the simpler side with that tune. Again, that's just the A section. There's a lot more you can do with it. That's just scratching the surface, but just to give you an idea, and especially when you're reading it, comparing it to the chart, to see what I might have done a little differently, just to spice things up. And that's by no means something like Joe Pass would do or anything like that. This is just very straight, very simple melody emphasized here. I'm not really trying to show off I'm just trying to color things a little bit, add in some things that'll fill out the sound and interest the harmony a little bit too. So if you have any questions, let me know, and we'll see you next time.